Good day, friends! It's a Friday. Welcome to Coffee Break. This is Dr. Michele Lignay. Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. I missed you yesterday. I'm supposed to go live on Thursday, but I have an important mission yesterday that I need to fulfill. So I hope that we can still continue our conversation regarding our topic. Don't lose you. How to value yourself in your relationships. So alam ko the other day parang ito na yung usapan natin, no? So for the friends who are here, ano yung mga takeaway nyo the other days? Well, we were, talking about this topic. Ano yung mga insights and things that you've learned that I shared with you? Because I would like that to be our what do you call this? Our springboard for our conversation this afternoon. Kasi I'm going to go deeper into our topic, how to value yourself in a relationship. So, good afternoon sa inyong lahat ulit. So, baka magtaka kayo, it's a Friday. It's April 1. We just ended the Women's Month, the first quarter of the year. But I know that the topic that we're going to talk about is something very relevant sa ating lahat. So, the other day, if you would go back to the episode on Don't Lose You, we talk about the signs that we're losing us. The that we are losing ourselves in our relationship. So sa tingin nyo, ano dito yung nakarelate kayo? Or you would like to explore deeper? So I will just go back to this like are you too independent? Do you give too much to the person? Another thing is that do you rely on others to fulfill your needs? Parang sila ba dapat yung mag-fulfill ng mga pangailangan mo? Another thing is that are you submi- submissive in everything? You just submit to the person, to your loved ones, to your family. Wala ka ng sarili mong paninindigan, wala ka ng sarili mong salita, wala lahat na kinapi-paste mo sa kanila. I think that's a nice analysis. Copy paste, hindi mo pa ginawang special. Kinapi mo na, pinaste mo pa. In short, you just replicated yourself. Replicated them to yourself. Another thing, you keep protecting others and or you need someone to protect you. So another thing, you are also relying on the other person to fulfill your needs. Yan. So sa tingin nyo, friends, nakarelate ba kayo at one point in your life and one point in your relationship? Nakarelate ba kayo dito? So who are here? Hi, Lorelei, Riet, and Shelly. Hello, sis Shelly. Hi, Doc, watching a video for school pero nagpapap ng coffee break and interesting ang topic. So break muna sa studies. Okay, tama yan. So, tingnan natin yan, ha? So we talk about it, the signs that we are losing ourselves. And honestly, I think para sa akin ha, if we are introspective or we would like to always reflect about ourselves, isa sa mga paraan kung paano natin ma-self-check. So we can self-check that, hey, this is something that I need to consider and I need to look into deeper, is that we have that nagging feeling that, do I know myself in this relationship? Either it's your marriage, either it's your boyfriend girlfriend relationship, any intimate relationship, or it's a partnership, and also it may be your family, maybe you're a mom, maybe your bigger family. So whatever forms of loving relationship you have, if you have that nagging feeling that, do I know myself in this relationship? Kasi pag ang sagot mo ay parang wala akong voice dito, itong aspeto ng relasyon ko wala akong stand, ay bakit puro na lang lagi sila? If that starts nagging you, I would actually say that there might be something that you need to consider, because we always need to learn how to protect and to nurture ourselves, because we cannot lose the self. Friends, walang ibang pwedeng sisihin for us adults kung mawala sa isang relasyon kung hindi tayo lamang. So tingnan natin, why do we need to value ourselves? Have you asked yourself, why do we need to value ourselves? So, tanungin ko nga sa inyo, sa tingin nyo, bakit kailangan mong pahalagahan ng sarili mo? Bakit kailangan you protect, you nurture the self? So, do you have any thoughts on this? Meron ba kayong naiisip? Meron kayong mga top of mind things that you would like to share? What? Let's consider first, why do we need to value ourselves? Ano sa tingin niyo, bakit muna kailangan nating protektahan, alagaan, at i-nurture yung self, yung sarili? Unang-una, I think, above everything, we are God's beloved. Yes, we are created in God's image and likeness. And that alone, wala na tayong ibang rason because we are supposed to be stewards of God's creation as humans. But it doesn't mean that we are not good stewards of ourselves. So para sa akin, it's the operational reason. Everything operates from knowing that God loves me. I am His beloved. He made me uniquely, beautifully in His image and likeness. Diba sabi sa Psalm 139 yan. For I know you and you knit me together in my mother's womb. When I was growing in secret, you know I was there. And in all totality, appreciating ourselves as God's beloved, we are not going to just let any other human relationships that is temporary to ruin us, to consume us, to fill us. That for me, I have to be direct with you, friends. It's so injustice to God na gumawa sa atin kung hindi natin aalagaan yung sarili natin at we will allow other human relationships, even in the name of service, even in the name of love, even in the name of helping and being a bigger person. Magkakaiba tong aspetong to for now. But I think God really made us so beautifully, and that alone, kaya natin aalagaan yung sarili natin because that is the benchmark, that love for God's love for us and our love for God is actually the the foundation of any human relationship. And I believe that it's the only relationship that is not temporary. It's the relationship, yun yung may forever, yung relasyon natin sa Diyos. Kasi pwedeng lahat mawala, sadly. In reality, pwedeng lahat mawala, pwedeng lahat masira. We can always be uh, really bothered by our loving relationship, but a loving relationship with the Lord, that's so different. So here, you have to realize that Shelly, you said we are made for God's purpose. So we really need to take care of ourselves so we can bless the world with the gifts He bless us. Yes, yun naman talaga yung calling eh. Kaya niya tayo ginawa. Alam mo yung ginawa lang ba tayo ni Lord para wala lang. Hindi niya ba naisip, ano bang purpose, Lord, ng ipis? Sa tingin niyo ba, anong purpose ng ipis? Bakit na lang doon nasabi, why, Lord, did you make cockroach? Do they serve a purpose? I think they serve a purpose for us to be always on our toes and for us to learn how to surrender to not to fear, not to fear. So pero you have to realize that we are connected for with other things. We are connected in the bigger picture, in the bigger puzzle of not just in our lives but of the world but of God's work to the world. Am I making sense? So kung nakikita natin, bakit kailangan ko pahalagan yung sarili ko? Yes, I have this relationship. Yes, I love my husband. Yes, I love my kids. We all are so devoted with our families. But is it just about me and them? Or it's about something deeper, something bigger, di ba? One of the quotes that I love that I read from the book of Brother Kuya Bo Sanchez is that we are created in our life far more than we can imagine. So being that, knowing that God loves us and we are God's beloved, that alone, it's the best reason why we should actually start taking care of ourselves. And with that, and we not just to take care, but to value, pahalagahan. Ganda sa Tagalog, no? To value, pahalagahan, bigyan ng importansya. Another thing, because of that, because of God's beloved, connected yun, yung you are your own person, we are our own person. Can you say that with me? I am my own person. I am my own person. We are our own person. Really, no relationship, no human relationship should ever complete us. As I said earlier. And that is what we call relational freedom. Because if we are always pining ourselves na ito lang yung relasyon ko, hindi na ako nag-grow dito, kung iipitin natin yung sarili natin with just one relationship, kung papaikutin natin ang mundo natin sa isang tao, na deserve ka ba niya? Deserve ba niya tayo? 'Di ba? Kung iikot lang yung mundo natin diyan, chances are if that world and aspect of our life collapse, our whole world collapse. So, yun yung importante. We have to acknowledge that we are God's beloved, and we have to acknowledge that we are our own person, and that will give us the capacity not to allow other people to complete us. When we enter relationships, ideally we are complete with ourselves. Or if we are not fully complete with ourselves, we have that we have the perception that I am the process of completing myself, and this relationship is just an add-on, a bonus in my life, but it's not life itself. I am not a believer of the line, my family completes me and my family is my everything. I love my family so much, but it's not how I define myself, because I believe that they are one of the biggest part that fills my life, but they are not the one and only that fulfills my life. That's different. Same with marriage, same with your work, same with a career, same with any human loving relationship that you have. They are one of the biggest thing that may fulfill us, but they are not the only one that fill us. Magkaiba yun, napupuno o fulfill is parang meron tayong sense of achievement. But fill, pinupuno tayo. So magkaiba siya, friends, ha? And then, if we know how to value ourselves, we have a better chances of winning. What do you mean by this? We have a better chances of having great relationship. Bakit? Hindi tayo needy, hindi tayo clingy. We have a better chances of increasing our happiness and our satisfaction. We have better chances of having a great relational health, because the relationship will be very harmonious, it will be very symbiotic, give and take yan. Hindi parang hindi parang um, pag nagalit tayo, yung isang tao, parang pag nagalit tayo, tapos yung may issue tayo with the person that we love so much, the one that fulfills our life, doon na lang masisira na lahat. But you have to realize that it's the better chances of having a good relationship, because we're not clinging to that person, and that person will grow in return. So that ourselves, we are, responsible for our own well-being. We are responsible for our own growth. We're not relying on this person to actually be our source of growth. So both of us should grow individually, but that growth, that flourishing of each other should actually be things that we put together in a marriage, in a loving relationship. And I think applicable din to sa ating mga anak. Para sa akin, applicable din siya dapat. So, another thing, I would like you also to realize that um, it's good for our total well-being. Having Why do we need to value ourselves? It's actually good for our total well-being. Why? We'll have better mental health. We'll have better psychological health. We'll have better social and relational health. Right? Kasi, ang hirap explain. But because we are fulfilled as a person, we know how we will not actually be overly dependent on others. Somehow, hindi tayo nagiging additional load. Sorry, kailangan ko itong sabihin sa Tagalog. Hindi tayo nagiging pabigat sa iba. At hindi rin nagiging pabigat sa atin ng iba. Because if you would see people who had went through a lot of mental, emotional, relational health concerns, it's actually because they are carrying so much burdens in their lives. Maybe it's work, maybe it's relationship, even finances, and even family. Kaya bumagsak, hindi kaya ng psyche ang pagbuhat, pagdadala, kumbaga overloaded. And overloading can actually malfunction a system. Overfunctioning can actually malfunction a system. Everything beyond the regular can actually can actually paano ko ba sabihin to? Can actually cause a lot of dysfunction. So, why do we need to value ourselves? The first reason, we are God's beloved. The second reason, we are our own person. The third, we have better chances of having great relationship. And number five, it can help us improve our mental, emotional, social, and relational health. So how do we do that? So these are the whys. So now, what do you think? How can you keep valuing yourself? Sa mga women, titas, everyone, hi Tita Fides, hi Noreen na nandito. Pakisulat nga dyan sa chat. Chikahin nyo ko. Paano nyo pinapakita na pinapahalagahan nyo yung sarili nyo? How are you showing yourself that you value yourself? How are you actually manifesting it in your everyday life? Paano mo pinapakita in the middle of all this relationship, kahit na ang daming hanash, ang daming concerns, ang dapat asikasuhin, paano mo pinapakita sa sarili mo na, hey, pinapahalagahan kita. I value you. Can you tell that to yourself? I value you. So tell me, how do you do it? Do you have any tips before I run down I have 4 points here before I run down everything. I would like to know how are you doing it. The first thing that I hope to share with you, you have to learn to work on having a solid sense of self. Ayan, mom she fights by taking breaks and indulging in hobbies. Later, I'll, I will discuss that. Sociopides, taking breaks and indulging in hobbies. Hobbies with an O, not hobbies with a U. And then Noreen, my best time of the day is me. Morning mom here, sa akin ng umaga. Agree, appear tayo dyan, sis Noreen. So here, work on one. How do you keep valuing yourself? One, work on having a solid sense of self. Connect to who you are. Friends, napakadaling sabihin, connect to who you are. Don't look for who you are in Pinterest, in mga how-to sa TikTok and YouTube, at sa timeline ng iba. I would like you to realize that the only way we can really have a solid sense of self is that we unleash ourselves from all the control, from all the external control of who should we be. 'Di ba? Parang as adults, wag mo nang paniwalaan lahat ng mga marites sa buhay mo at mga marisol na dapat ganito ka, dapat ito ka, dapat ito ka. Walang ganon, friends. Dapat marunong tayong kilalanin natin deeper yung sarili natin. Iba tayo when we entered the pandemic, iba tayo during the pandemic, and now that we are almost hopefully exiting the pandemic, we are becoming a different person. And I hope we are a much valuable, beautiful, and more profound version of ourselves. Diba? Ang ganda-ganda naman gawin yon. So, having a solid sense of self, we have to learn to connect to who we are. Another is we have to know our strengths and weaknesses. Alam mo yung para sa'yo, alam mo yung hindi para sa atin. Parang, I realized that when we know how to say no, ayan, tama dyan, Mary Jane. When we know how to say no, it's easy for us to choose what is aligned to who we really are. Ulitin ko yun. When we know how to say no, it's easier for us to be aligned and to align ourselves to who we really are. Kasi alam natin kung hindi ko yan kailangan. Ito, yes, ito akin. Because if we know our strengths and weaknesses, we will know if an opportunity is really a good opportunity for us or really just something nice to have but not really essential. Maraming ganyan, friends. I think life would always test us na ito ba para sa akin. But we have to realize is that, is this aligned is this aligned with my strength or is it aligned with my weakness? We need to actually realize that. Or is it actually supporting my solid self or it just might be my pseudo self? Anong ibig sabihin ng pseudo self? Baka naman dyan sa ginagawa mo yan, for example, you're creating all these videos. Baka naman you are trying to feel your ideal or your pseudo self. Maybe your alter ego. But at the bottom of your being, it's not really who you are. Kumbaga, you're just trying to win the approval of other people. Pero in reality, hindi naman talaga yan hindi naman aligned talaga yan sa purpose mo. Na-derail ka lang. Kasi maraming mga boses na nagsasabi, alam nyo, ang daming chances sa buhay natin na ganyan. Yung, yung bang, ang daming sinabi. Pero tayo, ano talaga yung kailangan nating malaman sa sarili natin? Do we align with what we're doing with our gifts, our talents? Do we know how to say no because it's not actually part of our values? It's not aligned with our life mission? Yan ang kailangan natin. So maintain a solid sense of self. Don't nurture that pseudo or the fake self. Sa dami ng fake news ngayon, wag nyo nang damihan pa. At wag nyo ipakita sa mundo ang inyong fake self, because we have to, ang dami mong oras. Imagine all your time is being spent on trying to be someone you're not. My God, what losers we would become. Sayang yung time, friend. Sayang ang skincare. Sayang ang oportunidad. Why don't we just admit now na hindi ito para sa akin? Why don't we just admit now na, ay, ito talaga ako? Why don't we start admitting who we really are so we can actually nurture the woman, the man that God created us to be? As simple as that. Paano makita ko na hindi pala talaga ako magaling dito sa isang gusto ko? And then, so be it. Respect that. Because that's how God created you. Kasi, pag hindi yan para sa'yo, edi hindi para sa'yo, ibig sabihin, may ibang para sa atin. So, I think that is very simple. But we have to also know our strengths, and also working on a solid self is actually being familiar with different aspects of ourselves. Alam niyo yung pag alam natin kung kailan tayo mabi-beast mode, kailan tayo mabi-best mode, alam natin kung kailan tayo na-uplift, at alam din natin kung ano yung mga ito stressful sa akin to. So, pag natutunan natin yan, alam na natin na huwag tayong magpapadala, alam ko natin kung ano yung makakapagparupok sa atin. Okay? So, because of that, knowing our different areas, we can actually support where we're weak and actually nurture where we are strong. Am I making sense, friends? So please, huwag na kayong mahiya. Become your best self by supporting your solid sense of self. Because the only way out of increasing your sense of self and having a good relationships, in relationship na ikaw yan, walang makakapalit sa'yo, hindi ka papalamon sa sistema, hindi ka papakain sa sistema, you have to realize that you have to increase your solid sense of self. Because there's no other way. We have to become the woman and man that God created us to be. Sayang yung oras. Huwag na tayong mag-aksaya ng panahon. In-nurture na natin yung taong ginawa ni Lord. Hindi yung fake version of us. Am I making sense? Shelly, ang lalim nung grabe. Sobrang galing nung mga sinabi mo, Doc. Thanks for doing this. Alin doon sa sinabi ko? Meron bang kabog moments? Okay. So that's the one. Work on having a solid sense of self. Number 2, be mindful and accepting of the present. Yeah, this is actually a struggle for many of us. Why? It's so hard for us to focus on the here and now. Yung bang, paano pag ginawa ko to ngayon? Paano bukas? Paano pag ganito ngayon? Paano we have so many judgment. We are almost at the brink of our anxiety, and we're fretting about so many things that are not actually, they're not actually needed right now. Because there are occasions in our lives that what is needed is for us to focus on our realities. Tingnan natin kung anong meron. We have to learn to focus on the relationship. Sorry. Huwag na, I think marami sa atin ng guilty, naghahanap tayo ng wala. And we have judgment to what is in the here and now. What I mean by that, we have to learn to acknowledge our thoughts, our feelings, our circumstances, because we have to remove our judgmental attitude. Friends, tayo mismo, yung bang minsan parang we're not very kind to our circumstances. We are not very kind to ourselves and our loved ones. Na, sana naman kasi later on, ganito ka na di ba? I mean, in dealing with the people that we love, na parang hopefully next time So, paano yan? Pag 10 years, ganito pa rin tayo. 10 years pa yun, nandito tayo ngayon. So, sometimes, really, for us to nurture ourselves, I think ang isa natin na overlook is be mindful and accepting of our emotions. Kasi minsan, pag tayo naiinis, our tendency is to do this. Naiinis ako, huwag ka nang mainis, magmahal ka na lang. Yun, ginagamit natin. Sometimes, I hate to say this word, but I need to do it. We tend to over-spiritualize things. I'm angry. Ay, huwag ka na magalit. Mahal ka naman ni Lord. Nandyan lang siya. But we have to acknowledge that we're angry. And maybe the Lord will appreciate us being present and telling, Lord, naiinis po ako, nagagalit ako. That's it. And you don't need to judge yourself that you are so masyado kang maldita. Ano ba yan, napaka-propok mo, hindi ka na makapag-move on. Those are actually judgments. Those are actually self-imposed criticisms. But sometimes, it's best for us so we can value ourselves. If we get offended in the middle of this discussion with your loved ones, maybe you can ask yourself, teka lang, bakit ba ako nasaktan? Bakit ba ako naiinis? Nasaktan ba ako dahil dun sa ginawa niya? O nasaktan ako dahil dun sa hindi niya ginawa? Or nasaktan ako dahil may mas malalim akong pangangailangan? That's why being mindful of our present state will actually tell us so many things about ourselves. It's actually about a path to grow. Not just us, but it's a path for me and my loved one, my partner, to learn about each other and to learn about the present circumstances. I think it's a good invitation for me to you, gawin natin yun. Subukan natin na pag we are in the middle of an emotion, we are in the middle of a discourse, it's a good way to be present and to actually acknowledge, ay, nagselos pala ako, nainis pala ako, nakakahiya mong aminin, pero inggit pala to. So, because of that, we can start exploring what is the reason behind that emotion. There are occasions that the reason will surface right away. But there are instances that you just need to respect things as that because we cannot have the answers automatically to everything. And when that present moment allows us to experience something, I'm jealous. Say this line, I don't know why yet, but I'm just gonna park it for now and respect where I am. Friends, alam nyo, napaka-unleashing niya. Yung bang tanggalin natin yung ang sama mong tao. You, you are a sinner. Because I think that those emotions, those circumstances are actually tools that the Lord has gave us to get to know ourselves and to establish who we really are. And sometimes it's an inward conversation with Him. It's actually the springboard. So instead of telling ourselves so many things, instead of actually fretting with things beyond our control, the invitation of this second part, be mindful and accepting of the present, is to focus on the here and now, acknowledge our thoughts, our realities, our circumstances, and to be open, non-judgmental, and more importantly, to be compassionate. Compassionate with our loved one, and more importantly, compassionate with ourselves. Ang ganda nito, friends, pag natutunan natin ng sabay-sabay, it's actually a very mature way on how we handle relationship. Do I do that? I'm trying to. Yes, I am trying to. Sometimes parang when we're so, you know, high strung with our emotions, nakakalimutan na to. But sometimes in my own moments, those are the things that I reflect about. So that's number two, be mindful and accepting of the present para hindi ka na natataranta with the future. And number three, friends, alam ko ito yung sinabi kanina ni Fides at ni Noreen, invest in yourself. Huwag tayong mahiyang mag-invest sa sarili natin. Kahit na sabihin mo na parang, bakit, why are you investing so much on your loved ones? Why are you investing so much on your future but you're not investing on yourself right now? Baka meron tayong mga pangarap, meron tayong mga dreams, meron tayong mga desires and goals that we keep putting out, we keep putting off. I really invite you, look at them. Look at what the circumstances is asking you right now. Kasi baka pagkakataon mo na para magawa to. Ensure that you have Make sure that when you invest in yourself, you have your individual time. You have your personal activities other than your family. It's nice that the family do things together, but it's also very critical for us individual members of a family, a husband and a wife. Dapat meron din tayong kanya-kanyang buhay. Hindi lahat ng lakad ng asawa mo mag-chaperone ka. Hindi lahat naman ng activity mo kailangan involve yung asawa mo because it's not going to be healthy. We need to breathe from these relationships. We need to give ourselves the chance to flourish. And ang sarap kayang mag to be by ourselves, not alone but not lonely, be by ourselves because it will actually give us time to talk to ourselves. It will actually give us time to reflect, and it's actually giving us time also to just not to mind anyone but to focus on how we can nurture us. So you have to learn to pursue goals that you put off. Kung meron kayong hobbies, interests, and other pursuits other than work, gawin nyo na. Kung alam niyo yun, I think this pandemic, this is what was taught to us. Ang daming natutong gumawa ng ibang bagay at na-nurture yung sarili nila. Yung mga bagay na, ay gusto ko tong gawin pero wala akong oras, nagawa natin ng paraan. And also, it becomes our well-being activity. So, keep pursuing personal goals, professional interests, and goals. I don't know if you're a lifelong learner, but for me, even though that I finished my PhD, learning never stops. I just signed up for a virtual class that will give me 4 sessions of for a course that I would like to take. So, pwede naman ngayon mas maraming oportunidad ngayon to actually invest on ourselves. Bakit natin kailangan mag-invest on ourselves? I think I said this many times. We cannot put all our eggs in one basket. We need to develop other areas of ourselves. You have to balance your interest that is yours and yours alone with what is it that it's not yours. Ako, the class that I signed up for is actually something related to my profession, and but I also have other profession, not profession, but I'm a hobbyist. I know that many of you knows that I create soaps and balms. I made handmade all natural soaps and balms that I keep learning on how to do it. So I have a very very small online store, and the name of that store on Instagram is Self Care Maker. And why am I telling you this? Because I would like you to see that despite that pandemic, despite na ang daming effort para magtrabaho, it's something that is life-giving for me. And I would like to encourage you, go something. I know here si Tita Fides. Tita Fides is my very good friend. Hi Tita, I know nandito ka pa. Ang hindi niya talaga ginigive up ang kanyang watercolor, calligraphy, plus yung kanyang Bible journaling. Ayan, ang galing-galing niya dyan. Um, Idol ko yan sa ganyan. So, you have to look for something like that. You have to look for something that will give you really more life so that you can have more life and love to give other people. So, is that making sense here, friends? So, tell me, how are you investing in yourself? So, the first one that I said is yung work on having a solid sense of self. Kailangan ko itong balikan. Friends, hindi tayo for those of you who are single, we don't get into a relationship na perfect na tayo, na buo na tayo. And I believe it's still a continuous work in progress. So you have to remember that even though, especially with people my age, you are at your late 30s, on your entering 40s, this is midlife. Welcome to midlife. This year, I would like to run again my program on midlife. Why? Because we need to revisit how we are midlifing already. There are too many things happening in our lives. There are too many aspects of our lives that we need to check. But what is important is that we remain true to our solid self. We nurture that sense of self because I believe at the end of our lives, it's filtering what really matters. Tatanungin tayo ni Lord, anong nangyari sa'yo? How did you use your talents? How did you use your time? What did you do? The gifts I give you, because that's what we are accountable about. Paano mo yan ginamit to serve other people? So, friends, I really encourage you, in any relationship, we have to value ourselves. Do not get lost in translation in relationship. And the last tip that I would like to give, cultivate healthy relationships, please. And in order for you, the same thing that you're doing to healthy relationships, to your loved ones, to your partner, to your husband, to your wives, to your children, to your own immediate family, the same nurturance that they're doing for that, you have to give it yourself, to yourself. You communicate well, communicate with yourself. You're sharing you're sharing a life and doing interests with your loved ones, you have to take in special interest for yourself and you're laughing together and building memories. Build memories with yourselves. Actually, this is something that you might thank God for, and you will thank God will thank us for. Bakit? Kasi hindi tayo pumikit lang at wala lang, ginalaw natin ng maraming maraming beses ang baso at ginamit natin paulit-ulit yung talents natin. And that is called flourishing. That is called flourishing. That it's called really this is like designing your life. Narinig natin yan many times, but for me, you don't lose you. You design the relationship that you want to have. And it starts with actually maintaining your solid self, boosting, enhancing, and taking care of that solid self. I hope that this episode has blessed you. I hope that you don't lose you, friends. You don't lose you, because we can only get lost only in the arms of the Lord, but we don't get lost in life, because if we get lost in life, nako, ang hirap nating pulutin. Kasi parang kikilalanin, I don't want it na dumating isang araw na we don't know who we are. That's the saddest thing that can happen. Oh, where are my kids? Oh, what happened to my career? Oh, my ministry is gone. What happened to me? Oh, my partner, I don't know what happened to us, but I don't know who am I anymore. I hope that one day we wake up despite crisis situation and we say, "Na Lord, thank you. Thank you for letting me be myself, and thank you for letting me take care of my true and solid self, because I am connected with you." I hope this episode of Coffee Break has helped you. Please share this to family and friends. And if you are blessed actually with Coffee Break, let's connect through Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And also, these web episodes are in Spotify. And if you think that this is blessed, you can support Coffee Break by sending stars and Gcash. You can just send us a message so we can send you our Gcash details. Magandang hapon, magandang araw, and magandang buhay sa ating lahat. I hope that you don't lose you, because God needs us for a bigger purpose other than ourselves. Thank you for joining me. This is Dr. Michelle for Coffee Break.